Hello, everyone. Good morning. How are you all doing? Emmy here. Welcome to another session, Purposeful Conversations with me, Emmy, here in the Pami Code Facebook community. And today we are joined by a wonderful human being. She's an what's it called? Inner child healer, author, and psychic. And she's here with us to share her stories and her insights about recovering and healing from trauma. So without further ado, let's all welcome Joy Fisher. Hi, Joy. Thanks for joining us.
Hello everybody. Hi.
I'm so excited to talk with you today because we do have members in our community who have experienced trauma in their lives, and some of them are still experiencing trauma, and they haven't really got a good understanding, maybe whether it's confidence or esteem issues that they haven't gone past, what's blocking them. So for you, this is something that you help people with recovering from trauma. How do you help people manage that?
Yeah, I think for me, sort of trauma can be anything. So, even if it can be something as simple as emotional abuse, it could be sexual abuse, it could be anything. But what we're really good at doing as children is to kind of put it in a little box and we don't really talk about it anymore. So I find quite a lot of the women that I work with have suffered from deep trauma, and some of them don't even know because it's been so deeply hidden away. And we also carry trauma in our bodies because our bodies are sort of physical, our bodies are mental. We have a physical, spiritual, and mental, and we have DNA bodies. So we carry all the traumas from past generations. So, for example, like your great grandmother, great grandmother might have had an horrendous experience where she was traumatized. You'll be carrying that energy inside your body. So it's like
Oh,
not
so
just
it
about,
can be passed on.
yeah, oh yeah.
I
So we
never
carry
really thought
not just
about
our
that.
own traumas, we're carrying on like past life traumas. And then obviously we have past lives where we've relived before. I mean, it depends on what you believe. I believe that, and I know that. So for me, it's like you're carrying your past life stuff, you're carrying your past trauma stuff, and then you carry your
Your
things
own.
now,
Yeah.
your own stuff. And it's like, well, how do you get rid of all that? It's like it's a lot. And then
I
we
mean, I
wonder
can
why,
imagine for some people,
crazy.
they can feel a burden,
Yeah.
that even if they haven't really experienced, for example, domestic abuse or sexual abuse, because for some people, they might think that trauma is just this kind of extreme physical
Yes.
abuse, but
Yes.
actually you also have psychological abuse, people who don't really have freedom, for example, to excuse me, to do what they want to do in their lives. They're being repressed. So you did mention different kinds of trauma.
Mm.
So what would you say to people who don't really notice? I don't know if they are even aware that they are experiencing trauma. How can
I
they identify that?
yeah, I think experiencing trauma. I think the first thing is I feel like when I work with people, a lot of the ladies that come forth are women who know something's not right. So they
Mm.
feel a bit different. They
There's
feel,
a feeling.
yeah, there's just something that's not right. And I think for me, I was raised with a narcissistic mother and grandmother. Yeah,
Mm.
I was smothered. I was very controlled, and I lived in a non-emotional childhood. And to be honest, I think a lot of us did in that because our parents were raised that way, where you
Mm.
weren't allowed to connect with your emotions. You couldn't sort of be angry or sad. You couldn't be jealous, or you had to be happy. It was just like what you were raised with. It was like, oh no, 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 we don't do that in this house. We don't act like that. Everybody has to be happy. But
Everything's
you can't just
okay.
be happy. Yeah, everything's okay. It'll all be fine. But you just cannot just be happy. Um, and like we know now is if you don't feel these different emotions, well, where are they going? I mean, where are they going? They're getting trapped. They're
Mm.
not getting released, and they need to be released. So
And just
feeling
for you
anger,
not even recognizing the emotions that you
no, and you
have.
don't, and I didn't even know,
You
and
feel
and I
something,
just,
but you don't know what it
yeah,
is.
but I felt nothing. Like I remember even just a few years back, I felt nothing. I was never I was happy, but it was fake happy. You know, I cried, yeah, but I cried because everybody else cried. You know, I didn't cry because I felt emotion. I had no emotion, nothing, nothing. I was just
Wow.
nothing. And it was only for me that I realised my trauma, my experiences, was only when somebody said to me that I'm asleep. You're asleep. You're sleeping in life. You're asleep at the moment. I
What
was like,
does that
no.
mean?
I know. I was like, well, everything's great. You know, just starting a business, and I've got a great husband, and I've got this great kid, and you know, we've got great money coming in, and we've got a great house. We have a lovely life. And she said that to me. But when somebody says that statement to you, it's like it's a turning point, isn't it? It's like, excuse me, what do you mean? I'm not asleep. But I needed to understand that. I needed to understand why she would say that to me. And then that's when I started my proper growth. And I think for people who still feel as though there's just nothing, it's just something that's not right, then go and look into it. Like just do the work, go and do the growth work, go and find out, go start reading, start meditating, start talking to yourself. And you're able to then disconnect from it and then see it. And once you have awareness of what it is, then you can start being aware. You have awareness in your life. So all of a sudden you know, oh, that's why I do that. That's why I act like that. That's why I feel like that. Oh, my mum did that. My nana did that. You know, grandma did that.
So
And then
would
they
you
can
say
start
that
coming
it would,
alive.
I'm sorry, so do you say that it would start from an intuition that you feel as if something's not quite right? You still couldn't put your finger on it, like you're not,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just a
And
feeling, and what do
I
you do?
think
You
it's a
explore
feeling.
it?
Yeah, I think it's a feeling, or it could be a pain, not a constant pain. So many women and out there have constant pains. That's not just pain because it's there. It needs to be dealt with. It needs to be looked at. It needs to be spoken to. It's probably trapped emotion, trauma inside your body that just has never been released.
Right.
And that's something that I would advise as well. Get to the point where you can actually talk to our body. Why are
Mm.
you here? What are you doing here? It's ready to answer. It wants to answer. It wants to help you.
But
You
I'm
so it's
guessing, Joy,
it's trapped.
there might be some people who will have that feeling that something is not quite right, but they are terrified to
Yeah,
actually explore it. And it's like opening that box, and you don't really want to see what's inside, because it's like opening a can of worms. Let's put it that way. So yeah, so some people will just let it be, even
shut
if
that
if it
down.
feels uncomfortable and it feels it's not quite right. They just stay there, but eventually it's bound to burst, right?
Yes, I believe that it turns into illness, it turns into sickness, it turns into
Mm.
heaviness, it turns into despair, it turns into depression. It can't just stay there. You're either growing or we're dying. It's like, and if we're not growing personally, and we're not working out why we feel this way, then we're dying something.
It's
That's the way I was. Like, and now I look back, I was dying slowly. That
mm,
part of my life was just disappearing in front of me. I had nothing, like just numbness, just numbness when I think back now.
it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I did notice, while I'm reading comments in forums, discussions, and actually speaking with other people, that yeah, they will feel something that's not quite right. They will ignore it, try to suppress it. So it's going to be okay. Just let's just get on with what we have to do, and then eventually their body gives up. Like, they will develop all sorts of psychosomatic conditions, like they will get ulcers, they will get
Yeah,
headaches, they will get back pain, all sorts of physical manifestations. And they become unwell physically after trying to suppress something that, something's telling you something's not quite right. You have to address it. But
yeah,
because you're ignoring it and then trying to avoid it, the body actually takes its toll as well.
yeah. And the thing is, it's sort of the body is going, hello, hello, how much pain do I need to give you until you're gonna listen? It's like you're not listening. And we do fill voids, don't we? We push down, we push it with alcohol, with
Mm.
food, yeah, with other things. Don't want to feel, don't want to feel, don't want to feel. We'll just eat more, we'll just drink more. we'll just try and fill it with shopping, retail, buying better things, looking better. But you get to a point where actually it doesn't matter what you look like, how much money you've spent. You could have the best car in the world and the best house, but at the end of the day, it's still not going to go away. So
Mm.
it's until we address it. And it can be trauma from childhood, but it could be a trauma that happened, you know, just the last few years. And
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
traumas build upon trauma. So if you have one trauma and then another trauma and then another trauma, then it can lead to pure depression, can't it?
I can totally relate to that. If I can just share my
Mm,
experience actually, after I gave birth to my child, going back to work, I found was quite traumatizing for me. I I wanted to deny it. That there were some issues that I experienced psychologically. Maybe there were some issues at work as well in the environment, but I didn't really address it. I was trying to avoid it. I was trying to suppress it. I was unhappy because I also felt as if I wasn't really fulfilling what I was meant to do in my life. So there are all sorts of trauma happening there. I tried to avoid it. And what happened next was I started getting panic attacks. I developed IBS. There was one time I woke up and I had vertigo. Like the first time that I experienced it, I opened my eyes, turned my head a little bit, and you have like this violent spinning.
wow.
It's like everything was just violently spinning. Now I probably got that from my mom. My mom experiences vertigo as well around the same age as me, but I turned my head and everything was spinning violently. It subsided after a minute, and then I tried to move on the other side, and then it happened again, like violently spinning. So I was bedridden for a whole week, and it was
Wow.
actually my body's way of telling me, okay, that's enough. You have to make some changes. This has got to stop. So I can totally relate to what you're saying about trauma. It's not always just about, domestic abuse or violence or, sexual abuse, all that. Obviously, that's also trauma, but you could also experience trauma in so many different ways,
Yeah.
whether it is maybe bullying in the workplace, maybe you're feeling traumatized because you don't have the freedom to do what you want to do in your life. And if you try to suppress it and try to ignore it, your body will actually catch up, and it will be your body telling you, hang on,
Yeah.
you're killing yourself here. You got to do something about it.
Yeah, and the thing is, we weren't born for it to be all heavy and hard. We weren't born to not to just take it all in and just put up with it. Which is what we were raised really to do. Just put up with it. Everything will be okay. Just put up with it. No, we weren't born to do that. We were born to live. We were born
Yes,
to have
and to
happiness and fun.
flourish.
But we were born to release. Well, to let go, to let it go, so it doesn't take us down. It's about just letting it go and flowing it out. And
I love
yeah,
that. But if you're experiencing trauma and if you're ready to do something about it and to heal and to recover, what would be the first step that you would suggest?
for me, it was writing, and I believe in journaling. I'm a massive journaler. But for me, it was as soon as she said that, um, I started my journey, which was writing. So after she'd made that statement, the woman indeed was a medium, and she was the one who told me. I was so interested then to know what she meant. So she channeled my grandma, who died when I was 7. And then my grandma started to talk to me. So, in the sense of every morning, I would say, "Hello, Nana Molly, what do I need to do today?" And what we got down to was the fact that I needed to find a tree, and I needed to start to write the stories I wrote as a child that I stopped writing because I was diagnosed with dyslexia, and bring them out. Also, write the stories I would love to have read as a child, which would have set me free.
Mm.
And I started my writing journey. And now I
I
have 3
know.
books.
I've seen you've got three.
Um,
How many books have you got?
well, I wrote was only ever meant to be one book with 3 stories.
Mm.
Um, and so basically, the 3 pixies. So you've got Scarlet, You've got Della and you've got Molly.
Is
And
this
the
for
three,
young girls?
it is for young girls, but you know, I've had adults buy it, believe it or not, because I've got quite a lot of illustrations that I've turned into black and white, for example, so for colouring. So it's quite,
Oh,
and then in the back I've got some activities. So yes, so I have had adults that buy it. But it, the three books are basically Molly is about empathy and bravery, but also taking responsibility and how important it is to take responsibility. That's why I'm thinking the adults buy it for this really.
mm.
Responsibility is the main key on.
Is it about
Yeah.
stop blaming others for your stuff?
Yes, and she is wants to understand where she can get wings from. So they all have wings at the end. She's in search, so she has to save her friends to find out how to get the wings. So she takes responsibility. This one, Della, is more about fear. So she fights the fear and does it anyway. She comes
Mm.
out of the box. So I kind of look at my childhood now and I see myself as being in the box. So I did exactly what my parents wanted me to do. I acted exactly how they wanted me to be.
Out of
They
fear?
out of fear, out of control, and love. So if I did that, then they would love me. If I did that, I would be rejected. And I stayed in my box. She gets out of her box. She wants to get away. She wants to find her wings.
How
So
did
she
she do
fights for
that?
fear and gets out of the box. Yeah.
Not to have like spoilers or anything, but yeah, but how do you do that?
How
I'm
do you get
sure
out
that
of the box?
yes, I'm sure there are so many people who feel as if they are trapped in a box. They
Yeah.
are scared to go out because of the fear of being judged, the fear of risk, the fear of uncertainty, the fear of failure. It's so safe inside the box, isn't it?
But it is so
So
safe.
it's understandable why people would be afraid to go out of there, but they want to, but they are scared. So how do you get out of that box?
How do you get out of the box? That's a really good question. How did I get out of my box? I have to channel a little bit for this. It's a deep question. Get out of your box. You've got to first understand you're in a box.
Okay.
So you've got to realize you're in the box.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to realize that you are not living your full potential. You're living in fear and in worry and anxiety, and you're not really living. And then realize that it's only you that's keeping you there, really.
I love
So
that. Well, first you have to realize that you are in the box.
you have to, and most people never do, and that's
Mm,
okay. You know, that's up to them, isn't it? It's their life.
mm,
Some people do, and that's when the big growth starts. I think that's when the spiritual growth starts,
yeah.
and they're setting themselves free. But it's about realizing. I'm going to bring my husband in because I work from home, and we work from home. We're in a box, yeah. We get in a car to drive and pick my daughter up. We're in a box. Then we go back to the box in the kitchen to eat, and then we go to bed in the box. So you live in a box. I mean, we are all in a box, aren't we? But then we've got to remember that in the box along comes all the emotion and all the pain and all the sorrow and all the sadness and everything. Everything we've been told to be that we don't want to be. So as soon as you open the box, then you're letting that go too. And you're stepping out of the box. And I think I got to a point where I don't want to go back there. So I fight
You
not to
don't
go back
want
in
to
the
go
box,
back in the
into the
box.
box. Yeah.
Right.
I do the work that's needed to release myself so I don't have to go back in there. And that means that's the work of forgiveness. That's the
Mm,
work of connecting to love. That's the work of connecting to knowing you're deserving and you're enough. And that's the work of letting your parents' beliefs and limitations go, the past generation limitations, beliefs go, and set your own standards, set your own beliefs and your own limitations. Well, no limitations, but your own beliefs. And that's why I won't ever go back in there because I'm not my mum and
mm,
I'm not my nana and I'm not the past generation. And I'm here to break that.
mm.
That's what we're here to do. We're here to break the chain so that my daughter and my grandchildren, or if I have any
The
more
next
children, you know,
generation.
the next generation, they change it. We've changed it for them. And that's the reason I wrote the books. This is the reason. I want the children to do the work now so they don't
Mm,
have to do it now as an adult, you know? realize that they
You
can
have
free
like the really
themselves.
good foundation at an
Yeah,
early
and they can
age.
free themselves now. And okay, the parents can have their opinion, and that's great. They can tell them what they want them to do, but they get to make that decision. They
Mm.
get to decide. They get to set themselves free. And the last one is Scarlet Pixie, named after my daughter, and that's about being with scary emotions.
Mm.
So being with them and accepting them and understanding. And I've got some little ways of teaching children how to be with them.
What do you mean by scary emotions?
Yeah, so being angry, everyone sees anger as a fear, and sadness. I mean, we don't get me started on crying. I mean, crying is
These
just,
are basic
I
emotions,
know.
right? Yeah.
But as a child, you are raised to sort of not
You're not
feel
supposed to
those.
feel
Oh
that.
gosh, no. And now I know that to feel those is to be free, isn't it?
Yeah.
To
You
be able
have
to
that
feel it all.
emotional awareness. And we were actually talking about demedicalizing mental distress a couple of days ago. And it's all about recognizing the full range of emotions that
Yeah.
we experience as a human being. So it's not just about being happy, but also recognizing that we can feel sadness, we can feel anger.
Mhm.
But it's understanding where the emotions are coming from, embracing that you are human and you experience this, and it's okay to
Yeah.
feel this way sometimes. But it's all
Yeah.
about understanding balance, and yeah, and embracing the spectrum of human emotion. So when you feel sad, you don't feel as if that there's no stigma associated with feeling sad sometimes, because
Yeah.
you are human. It's part of it.
Yeah, just all happiness and all love. You need to feel these emotions to be alive, don't you? And I think, I mean, I meet myself where I'm at every day. So I'll say to myself, where am I at today? Oh, all right. Oh, I'm a bit fearful about this. All right, I'm going to be in my fear then. I sit with my fear, like what's going on, and then you will bring yourself. It's amazing watching children, but you bring yourself out of fear into the next emotion that feels better than fear, into the next emotion, and you watch children do it. They do it like that so fast, and
Mm.
it's only us that go, oh, no, 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 don't feel that,
with
don't
with
feel
the
that, don't feel
children,
that.
it comes naturally, isn't
It
it? And
does.
it's because of the adults who try to teach them something else. You lose that,
Yeah,
for the children it's natural, it's pure, but it's
yeah,
us adults who actually teach them something else.
yeah, and it's amazing. I mean, I see my daughter do it all the time. We had a few years ago when a friend of mine had fallen pregnant, and my daughter wants a sister. She's been asking for one for a few years, and I had a miscarriage a few years ago. So we're getting there. But she'd fallen pregnant, and I told her after Christmas, oh, your best friend's going to have a little baby, sister or brother. Oh my word, the emotion was just like unbelievable. That's not fair. She's older than you. How can she be having a baby? I was like,
Oh.
whoa. And then we get her in the bath and she's crying. Oh. And I said, I think we should buy her a present, because she's going to be a big sister. She already has a present. The anger was coming out. She already has a present, mummy. She has the baby. That's her present. And it was all these emotions, and it was amazing to watch. It was incredible. And she was going through everything. And then she went to bed and she sobbed. The next morning she woke up and said, Mummy, I think I'm going to call my friend now and tell her I'm so happy she's going to have a baby sister or brother. I was like, what just happened?
So you
But
just
it was,
express it,
it's
you
because she just allowed it to just flow. There was no resentment there. There was
mm,
no nothing. There was no trauma. It gone. It
embracing
was over.
embracing the full
She just
range of
totally
emotions.
embraced it, and I just hold her space. I let her do it, and that's what we have
Wow.
to do for ourselves. We have to just hold our own space. Oh, you know what? I feel fear. That's all right. I feel angry. That's all right. I feel
Yeah.
despair. Oh, despair. But anger actually feels better than despair. Anger feels better
Mm.
than fear.
with
Jealousy
with with
feels better than
anger,
anger.
actually, so some people would say that anger is a negative emotion, but actually when you think about it, anger can be rooted to passion. Like
Yeah.
you believe in something so much that when you see something is not quite right, you feel angry about it. So there's something about it. And again, about this being aware of emotions, in my third book, I call it Fear is Not My Enemy. Simply
Yes.
because, yeah, people think that fear is such a negative thing. Well, actually, fear is essential in our human survival because it actually tells you that there's risk involved here.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful. That's why you're feeling fear. It's a warning. There's a warning that there's risk involved. But just because you're feeling scared doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. It just means that
Yes.
you have to make calculated decisions, maybe assess the risks, assess, what you can do, and how you can minimize the risk, and go for it if you have to go for it.
Yeah.
So it's, fear, anger, sadness, all these negative, scary emotions,
Mm.
it's part of human experience. And I love that, we're talking about this, particularly in the context of healing from trauma, because first you need to be aware. And second, you mentioned things around forgiveness and compassion, and just,
I need.
it's really important in taking responsibility for how you feel, for how you behave, and for your destiny, really, instead of blaming the past or blaming the people around you. They're taking that responsibility and forgiving yourself and others for things that might not have gone well in the past.
Yeah.
It can be quite liberating, and that's a really good step towards healing and recovery from trauma.
Yeah, I love that you say it's liberating. I think it is. I think two things came up for me when you were talking about fear. Um, I do a lot of inner child stuff. That's kind of what I do. I'm a psychic. I'm a clairaudient, and I do past life stuff. But I really love the inner child stuff because I feel like that's so powerful. And our inner child just wants to know that everything's going to be okay. That's really
Mm,
it. I mean, I have the ability to go into people's energy and I have the conversation with their parents that they didn't dare have. So if they were angry at mum because she'd never felt loved, I can have that conversation with mum to release the energy,
mm,
to finally have the voice, to let the voice speak. We have to speak. We have to share how we're feeling. So it's speaking. Um, but the inner child stuff, I feel like a really simple process is as soon as you feel fear or you feel jealousy or you feel anything where you're just getting really scared or even anxiety, look at yourself in the mirror and just tell your child it's all going to be okay,
yeah,
that they're safe, that
yeah.
everything is all okay, because they want to be safe. They're trying to keep us safe, but they're not in control anymore. And sometimes we're still living our life as though a 5-year-old is in control of our life. The amount of women that have, and I'm talking to inner children, I'm like, you're still living like a 7-year-old. What happened? But they took control. So it's about releasing them. And the only way to release them is by talking to them in the mirror and just say, I know you're scared right now. Oh, gosh, I feel it. I know you are. I know you're worried. I know there's anxiety there, but I promise you we are safe.
Mm,
And I am the grown up now, and I'm taking charge now because you are the child. And now I'm going to lift you and I'm going to put you in my heart and I'm going to give you acceptance. I'm going to give you love. I'm going to allow you to come on my journey and see what we're going to create together. And I love you forever. You are my person. I will love you forever. I'm going to look after you. You will be accepted there. And you are enough. You are deserving. And by just putting that little child in your heart, it's unbelievable, like how powerful that is.
I
And that's
love
what I do
that. And
psychically.
you actually you speak to your inner child as well with so much compassion and so much love, and
Mm,
without judgment. What I've noticed with what you just said is you actually even acknowledge that this is how your inner child feels without really judging. You shouldn't feel this way. You actually
yeah,
acknowledge that I
mm,
understand, you're feeling scared. I understand that, you're feeling this, but it's going to be
yeah,
okay. And you treat your inner child with compassion, with love, with no judgment. And I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah, and because it's important because she's me and I'm her, so it's important that she feels connected to who I am, and I think it's important for us to not push it aside. I know people talk about the ego and
Yeah.
just push the ego aside, don't let it out, don't. No, why? Let's be one with it. It's who we
Yeah.
are. It's been keeping us safe for such a long time. So it's about saying, thank you for keeping me safe, but I'm a grown up now. I'm
Mm.
married. I've got children. Like I don't need you to keep me safe anymore. What I do need you to do is be with me on my journey and
Yeah.
join me, but in a place of love. So for
In
the first time, you feel love and acceptance.
Mm.
you know.
In my books, I actually talk about this. We call it the inner critic. And there are other self-help gurus who would say, crush it, banish it, they just have a fight with it. And I would say, no, actually, the inner critic is still part of who you are. It's in your
Mm,
head. And what you need to do with your inner critic is, be aware that it is there. There's a reason why your inner critic is saying these things. But instead of trying to crush it and have a fight with it, give it a bit of TLC. And I don't say tender loving care in my books, but it's a questioning sequence. You have a dialogue with your inner critic and ask, is it true? Is it logical? Is it
yeah,
constructive? And you have that conversation, you have that dialogue, so you can have a better understanding of where these thoughts are coming from. And when you understand that, you'll have a more informed, balanced decision on what you need to do next. So instead of trying to suppress it and fight it, have a dialogue, have a conversation.
yeah,
It becomes
yeah. I
more
mean,
constructive.
yeah, and then by having that conversation, sorry, when I do this, I'm channeling, so I do all the time. I do a lot of this. um, yeah. So when you have that conversation, you're having that with your inner child, but you can have that conversation with your body too.
Mm.
You can
How does
have that
that
conversation.
work?
So you find your pain or whatever is going on, and then you talk to it like you would your child. You know,
Right.
I know you're here. Thank you for sharing, but what are you here to tell me? And then you have to listen. It's all about listening. It's all about
That's
being
what I
quiet.
struggle with.
It's
The
all about
listening bit.
listening. Yeah. It's about being with it and listening and realizing that's the most important thing in your life right now. Like, rushing around and trying to bring in more business is really not as important as if you've got like a pain somewhere. You've got to talk to it. And I have to say, a lot of times you can just shift it by talking to it. It will tell you,
Right.
it will tell you like, oh, I'm here because of this reason. Oh, okay. All right, that's all right. And a lot of it'll be something that happened in childhood, very likely. So it'll be like, oh yeah, I remember when she did that. It's okay, you feel that way. It's all right. Let's let that go now.
Right. I,
And
I
then
think
the
it
pain
does
will
take a bit
disappear.
of it takes a bit of humility as
It
well to
does.
to listen.
It does. But we're
Yeah.
important. Like we're important people, aren't we? We're only responsible for ourselves, and we are important to ourselves. We love it. We love ourselves. We have to give that love to ourselves, and we can't expect it to come externally. It starts from us and it ends with us. It's like we have to look after us.
Yeah.
You know, we
Yeah.
are the most important things in our life.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Joy, if there is one thing that you would like to leave our viewers right now, one final message, what would it be?
Um, that you're loved, that you're taken care of, that there's always somebody there that's holding your hand, that there's always spirit there, there's always your higher self there, there's always God there. You've got somebody to fall onto. So don't feel alone. You're on
Because
this
you're not
journey.
alone.
You're not alone. You're with somebody. There's always somebody there. And love and forgive yourself. They're the
Oh,
most two powerful things.
wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Joy. Thank you very much. I feel so blessed having this conversation with you. If people want to reach you or find your books, where can they
um,
find you?
then you can find me. My business page on Facebook is the Psychic Warrior, or you could just find me on Facebook at Joy Fisher, I guess. I might be able to just put a link in the
Yes,
comments.
yes.
Yeah, you can
I'll
find
add it
me
in the
through that.
description.
Yeah, my books, I've got an offer on with them at the moment, so you can contact me, or if you want to do some work with me, then I'm happy to do that too.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I'll
Okay.
leave your details in the description. But yeah, I feel really blessed having this conversation with you, Joy, today. And for you out there who's watching this, there is a reason why you're watching this video. I know there is a reason why you stayed till the end of this video, watching us, and listening to our conversation today. If you feel that you've experienced trauma, if you feel that you need a bit of healing and you need to recover from your trauma, really important to acknowledge the emotions, to acknowledge that the trauma actually exists, and it is actually you who can set yourself free and heal yourself from your own trauma. So I hope this video serves you, and we'll catch up again next time for another purposeful conversations with Emmy here in the Pami Code Facebook group. Until then, take care and bye for now.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.